10 minutes. Yes, it only takes 10 minutes to create this stunning render. We will go through modeling, texturing, lighting and render everything out. And don't worry, this workflow is completely beginner friendly. So let's get started. Okay, so first let's start by adding a default cube to the scene. Then we will tweak the shape and size of the cube according to the outer shell of the clock. After that, let's bevel the corners of the cube. Now select the front and the back faces of the cube and inset them slightly. Once that's done, select the inner edge loops and use bridge edge loops to connect them. Now select this edge loop and duplicate it. Then separate it as a new object using separate by selection. Now if we try to scale it down, you will notice it also affects the bevel, which we don't want. So instead, let's jump into edit mode, select the bottom edges and move them upward using G. This way, we adjust the shape without messing up with the geometry. Then in edit mode, press A to select all and then F to fill the faces. After that, extrude the face to match the shape of the outer shell. Now we will do the same thing as we did for the outer shell. Select the front and back faces, inset them slightly and then bridge the faces to connect the geometry. Once again, select the edge, duplicate it and fill the faces. The process is the same as before. The only difference this time is that I move the front face slightly backward to adjust the shape. If your bevel completely messes up with the geometry, don't worry, this is a common issue. Turn on face orientation. Any red areas mean the normals are flipped. Go into edit mode, select everything and press Shift plus N to fix them. Make sure to repeat this for all the meshes that were showing red. After that, the bevel behaves exactly how it should. Now it's time to model the hands and the center part of the clock. For this step, precision is really important, especially for the center. So first, let's select the mesh that sits exactly in the middle. Then press Shift plus S and choose Cursor to Selection. This places the 3D cursor right at the center, which means anything we add next will be perfectly aligned. Now add a cylinder and from here we can rotate it and adjust the shape to form the center part. Now for the hands, we will keep things simple and start with a plane. Add a plane, then rotate and scale it to get a rough hand shape. Don't worry about the perfection yet. Once the shape looks right, extrude it slightly to give it some thickness. Finally, bevel the corners to soften the edges. If the bevel starts overlapping or breaks the geometry, press C to clamp it. This stops the bevel once both sides meet and keep everything clean. Next, let's clean things up by merging any overlapping vertices using merge by distance. This removes duplicate points and keep the geometry clean. After that, once again select the front and back faces, insert them slightly and bridge the faces to connect everything. Once the hand is ready, place it in its correct position on the clock. For the shorter hand, simply duplicate the existing one, then go into edit mode and adjust the size so it's slightly shorter. For the last part, you can either create a new mesh or simply reuse the existing clock hands. Both approaches work fine. Once that's done, place them correctly on the clock. From here, feel free to adjust, refine or tweak the geometry however you like. This is a good place to experiment and make the design yours. Before moving on the textures, let's quickly organize the scene. Select all the meshes, then select the outer shell last so it becomes the active object. Now press Ctrl plus P and choose Keep Transform. This parents all the meshes to the outer shell, which means we can move everything together without breaking the alignments. Now let's quickly set up the scene. I'm using a default cube as the base and a plane for the background, nothing complicated here. Next, add a camera and position it at an angle that feels good to you. I prefer a 90mm focal length because it works really well for the product shots. For lighting, add an Hdri in the world settings. If the Hdri colors start affecting the scene too much, just lower the saturation. This helps the lighting neutral and makes the product stand out. And that's all we need for a clean scene setup. Now let's move on the texturing part, and honestly, we will keep this as simple as possible. Let's start with the inner cube first. I'm going with the dark grey color for the material. To give it a slightly rough finish, add a noise texture. You can preview it by holding Ctrl plus Shift and clicking on the noise node. Now press Ctrl plus T to automatically add the texture coordinate and mapping node. Connect the object output from the texture coordinate node to the vector input of the mapping node. This makes sure the noise is mapped in object space, not UVs, so it stays consistent. Next, add a color ramp to control the intensity of the noise. Here you can tweak the contrast until it feels right. Once you are happy with the look, add a bump node, connect the color ramp output to the height of the bump node, and then connect the bump normal to the principal BSDF normal input. And that's it. We get a clean, rough surface very quickly. From here, just tweak the values until you are satisfied with the result. For the other meshes, I'm not going to rebuild the shaders from scratch. Instead, I'll simply copy this node setup and paste it onto the other materials. This keeps everything consistent and save a lot of time. Just keep one thing in mind. After pasting the setup, you'll still need to tweak a few values. Adjust the color first, then the metallic value, and finally the roughness to suit every part. For the last part, we need a clean color separation. So first, add one loop cut on each side. This gives us a clear boundary for separating the material. Next, select the bottom section of the mesh. Now go to the material property, add a new material slot, create a new material, and hit assign. The rest of the material setup is exactly the same as we did for the other parts, so nothing new here. From here on, everything depends on you. Take some time to tweak the values, experiment with materials, and create your own version of this render. For the scene setup, I'm simply duplicating the model a few times to fill the frame and add some depth. I'm also using a bit of depth of field to give this render a more realistic look. And that's it for this tutorial. If you have made it this far, feel free to drop a comment and let me know your feedback. It really helps me improve and create better tutorials going forward.